Man, Whitworth is so creepy at night.
I know. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you?
I'm not that scared. Maybe like a 3.
That's good because I'm a 9.
Yeah. Should we go in?
I'm not going in.
I'm gonna go in. My fear is immaterial.
Okay, I'll wait out here. So this is a real life example of how materiality can actually affect someone's life. So in this case, it meant life or death, but for financial statement users, it can mean all sorts of things for their audit situation. So what Christina should have done is assessed her threshold and changed it, and she should have obtained more evidence from the situation before entering
In
the
an
room.
audit situation, you should always document the misstatements that you find once you have found a threshold. You should then combine those misstatements onto one worksheet and then compare the combined misstatements with the original threshold.
In the situation Christina and I went earlier, we have risk, except we did not obtain an understanding of the entity. That's where our mistake happened. Well, in that case, Christina's mistake happened.
Much like the situation earlier, there's risk in every situation. In auditing, there are 4 types of risk. The first risk is acceptable risk. How willing the auditor is to accept that the financial statements are materially misstated, or the risk the auditor will give an incorrect opinion. The second is inherent risk. This is the susceptibility of material misstatement before considering internal controls. The third is control risk. This is the risk of a material misstatement not prevented or detected by internal controls. The fourth is planned risk. This is risk that audit evidence will fail to detect material misstatement.
Simply stated, acceptable audit risk is how much risk the auditor is willing to take. A high risk means they will do less auditing. Inherent risk is considering the nature of the economy plus the company risk plus the amount of transactions that could go wrong. If there is a high inherent risk, there's lots of transactions that could go wrong. Control risk is how good are the internal controls. If it's high, there's not good internal controls with the company. Planned detection risk is risk that you might miss a material misstatement.
So in our example, Christina had really high acceptable audit risk, so she didn't have any fear, not much danger of going into the room. Lacey, on the other hand, had really low acceptable audit risk, and so she would want to do a lot more auditing. They both had really high inherent risk because they thought there was a lot of transactions, or in our example, a lot of things that could go wrong. They both had really high control risk because they didn't trust the internal controls and what could be going on. But unfortunately, Christina had really low plan detection risk. In the beginning of the video, she wasn't nearly as scared. She was only a 3, whereas Lacey was a 9. So Lacey had a lot more cautions with what she needed to do. So overall, Christina had high planned evidence and Lacey had low, which unfortunately for Christina meant that the monster got her, whereas Lacey was just fine because she did that extra auditing and did not go into the room.
Materiality. How big is your oops?
In the effort of full disclosure, no animals or humans were harmed in the making of this film.